Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Parahan, and you are watching the Parahan Podcast. It's getting hot in here, or so Nelly says, right? I've got some breaking news for you guys, okay? It is currently 100 degrees in Portland, Oregon right now. It is currently 100 degrees in Seattle, Washington, and it's currently 100 degrees in British Columbia, Canada. Right? What the hell is going on? Okay. Now, we've never seen temperatures like this in the Northwest. It's not normal for it to get this warm. And also, we're going to see hundreds for several days across the Northwest and into Canada, which is very dangerous because these people aren't used to 100-degree weather. This is the kind of weather you get in like Phoenix or in Southern California, but you don't see these temperatures in the Northwest. So it's a very dangerous situation. I think this heat is going to move east, and you're going to see this heat up in the Midwest, in the South, Northeast. I think we could even get warmer temperatures than we're seeing in the Northwest because these places are a lot hotter, a lot warmer in the summer. I think we could easily break 130, 140. It wouldn't be out of the question if it hits 150 somewhere in the interior United States or the South, which would be dangerous. It's warm enough that it could actually cook someone alive. In fact, people cook at these temperatures. To give you an example of how hot it is, you could crack eggs open on the concrete and basically fry some eggs. So it's going to be very, very warm for a very long period of time. Now, what does this mean for us long term in the world, and for other places across the world, not just the United States? 10,000 years ago, we seen an ice age, right? The whole entire planet basically froze over, and we had very cold temperatures in this cold temperature pattern that froze the whole Earth pretty much. Okay, in reverse, I think we could potentially see a heat age where everything warms up and we see some of the warmest temperatures the Earth has ever seen, basically making it unlivable on the surface of the Earth. And, we have significant evidence to suggest this has happened in the past, that there may have been something like this in the past based on ancient civilizations. If you look at the early indigenous people of America, they talk about that their origin story is that their ancestors came from the ground, that they lived underground and they came up to the surface, and that they called them ant and lizard people, and that they are descendants of these ant and lizard people. If you look at the Mayans, right, they talk about themselves coming from this giant cave in the earth and then coming to the surface and coming to Mexico and Central America. And there's even a city in Turkey, right, that was built underground, basically these underground tunnels where they had livestock, they had cattle. It was a whole city that was underground, and they had doors that could seal shut, like they were trying to protect themselves from something. And perhaps these people went underground because there was a time in which it was so warm, it was impossible to live at the surface. It was too dangerous. And so a lot of these civilizations took refuge in caves, which happen to be places that are very mild, that keep a constant temperature of about 60 or 70 degrees. So perhaps this is evidence to suggest that this has happened in the past, that we have seen this. We know there have been several ice ages. So it's very possible there could be several heat ages that have happened. And this one could be the worst and could be even more severe than the ones we've seen in the past. It's interesting to note, right? We call the first humans, we reference them as caveman. Why do we call them cavemen? Because they lived in caves, okay? We found depictions of them, of their life in caves. We found petroglyphs in these caves that show that they at one time lived in caves. And basically, we found pottery and tools and things like this to suggest that these people were living in caves, and hence the name cavemen. And perhaps they lived in caves because that was the safest place to be during this heat age. And that is how humans survived this, by going underground. So I think it's very possible this could happen. And what we would see is temperatures rise to temperatures we've never seen before here on Earth, and maybe even get to temperatures that are seen on Venus. 200 degrees, 300 degrees. I mean, it's very possible, and it would completely change the landscape of the Earth. Now, with this heat that's coming, I think there is a potential that we could see the power grid go down in several places across the U.S. And I think what will happen is, in order to make it habitable in your home and make it feel comfortable, you're going to have to max that AC out. And that is going to be taking a lot of electrical energy to run that AC. And everybody's going to be doing this to stay cool and to stay alive, right? And that's going to overload the system. And basically, the power grid will go down. And it's kind of like in your home, right? When you have too many things running on one circuit, these circuit trips, right? This is the same exact thing that could happen if it gets too hot and too many people have their AC on, turned up really high, continuously running, is that it would overload the electrical system here in this country. And we could see mass power outages. And this would be very dangerous, because if you don't have power, then you don't have air conditioning, you don't have fans, you don't have a way to refrigerate, to make ice. So this could be a potential dangerous situation that we're looking at here. And I'm surprised we're not discussing this more, about the potential of a very bad summer. We're just, it seems like when these things happen, we're just shocked, but we shouldn't be shocked anymore. We should be prepared for these things and be ready. Some of the precautions you could take to prepare for these things is storing extra water, because hydration is key. When it gets very hot, you want to stay hydrated, because that helps your body naturally cool itself off. You've got this built-in air conditioner. When you perspire, it keeps your body nice and cool. If you do have to go outside in these warm temperatures, despite being very hot, you're going to want to cover your skin. You're going to want to wear long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants, lots of sunscreen, eye protection, sunglasses to protect you from these UV rays, because it's going to be very hot. It can instantly burn your skin, and you could suffer severe burns on your, all over your body, and you don't want that. And also, when you have long clothes, it helps trap in the perspiration, right? And it doesn't evaporate, so it actually keeps you cooler to wear long clothes, despite thinking that having less clothes is better in the summer. It's actually better to have more clothes. A lot of people that know me always ask me in the summer, like, why are you wearing long sleeve shirts, or why are you wearing long pants? And that's because I'm protecting myself from the sun, and also keeping myself cooler, essentially, and keeping myself from getting too hot. Other things you could do is, you want to be down in your basement. Underground, lower spots are going to be much cooler, cold air, sinks, right? And you're going to want to be in spots where it's dark, where you're not getting a lot of sunlight hitting in. Keeping blankets and things over the windows will actually help keep the house from heating up. If you should still have access to water, and you're going to want to keep the water, try and keep the water cool, so that it's ready to go if the power does go out. And maybe stock up some coolers with ice, and keep those ready. Keep your fridge full of ice, so that you can throw in coolers and maybe have a couple days supply of ice to kind of keep your drinks, to keep your water cool. But yeah, I think it's rather than be shocked anymore, we should start being prepared for these things, and we should see that they are coming. I think this is going to be a huge, significant event, and I think this is going to be the norm from now on, is that we're going to see not only extreme weather, patterns, but very warm temperatures. And I don't necessarily agree that this is like man-made climate change. This is just the Earth. The climate is always naturally changing. Like I said, we had an ice age 10,000 years ago. Different landscapes all over the world have completely changed because of changing weather patterns and changing climates. So I think that's definitely something we need to be prepared for. And I think in the long term, if you have significant amounts of heat, that's definitely going to melt the ice caps. And you're going to see massive flooding, possibly tsunamis and massive flooding all over the world. And low-lying places will now be submerged underwater, and it'll affect the whole landscape of the Earth, But yeah, I definitely think this is something to no longer, be shocked by, but be prepared, So prepare yourself. Keep this in mind. It's just helpful advice. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but, I'm trying to look at this from a perspective of we should be prepared and be ready for all situations. I think it's important to teach yourself certain survival skills to be prepared in the event that things like this do happen, so you're ready when it does.